Welcome to A Scrap Life, a podcast solely focused on the hustlers, grinders, operators, and business owners who live and breathe the scrap metal industry every day. We are the original recyclers. No suits required, just guts and hard work. Here is your host, Brett Eckhart.
In this episode, I sit down with William Inman of CASS, also known as Bill, one of the real class acts of our industry. He usually keeps a pretty low profile, but I was able to talk him into sitting down with me on his last trip out to Idaho to see his family. There aren't many people more knowledgeable about scrap than Bill, so it's always fun to sit down and BS with a guy who knows the players in the industry and the actual material just as well. Hope you enjoy, and go take a listen. Welcome, Mr. Inman, William, Bill Inman.
Yes.
I finally got you back to Idaho, and man, I'm so happy to be able to sit down with you, drink an Idaho beer.
Idaho beer.
And
recoil.
Shoot the shit and talk about scrap. And I consider you a friend. We do a lot of business together when the opportunities make sense for both of us. So It's, I mean, probably one of the coolest things about my job is I guess I'm at the point that I get to pick and choose who I want to do business with.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. And there's always the point where you still do business with some people that are a little tougher to do business with, but I've always appreciated that, you know, being able to bullshit with you, hang out,
and have a good time, top scrap, honest price, honest material. I mean, never had any issues with anything coming from United.
I haven't had a bunch of claims yet.
No claims. So
everything's been so far so good.
I don't project it to see that. I mean, we've been doing business now, about 7 years?
Yep.
Pretty close to it, trading as much as we can when the time is right. There's never any pressure to do the business.
Nope.
You sell when you need to sell, and I buy when you need me to buy. I mean, it makes it
you guys simple. Are pretty much, you guys are pretty much always in the market, it feels like. I mean, there's been some times when the market's been slow, and it's never been me ever having to beg you to do business, and I would think that some of that's because we make a good product, but B, it's because you guys do enough business that you're kind of always in the market. That would be my assumption.
I think it's both. There's times when it doesn't fit the production, but when we're here to support those that support us.
Yeah.
So there's times when I'm buying material from you that we're sitting on for 2-3 months.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We're here to support those that have supported us in the ups, the downs, and that's just part of, doing the business, that you have to be there for your suppliers.
Yeah, business 101, like take care of the people that take care of you, and then hopefully they reciprocate it and they recognize it, and it's good. I mean, it is the commodities business, so generally speaking, if you're in the scrap business, there's sometimes when your flows are more and sometimes when they're less, but you're always producing product.
Right.
So you're always making sure you have good homes for your material, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, we're producing that chlorine-free aluminum out in Oakland.
Yep.
And, what we put into our furnace matters. And there's no hidden, surprises in United's metal.
And you know what I can appreciate, and I think that from your guys' standpoint, you can see where everything's going green / environmentally friendly. And I think that your guys' niche on the chlorine-free aluminum is to me feels like it's in the infant stages. It feels like your guys are carving out that niche, and it just starts with just kind of chipping away at it, and then I believe that's going to be a standard, and if it's not a standard, then it's going to be, considerably more valuable to the right companies, and as people try and go more green, more economically, more environmentally friendly, I can't help but think that that's going to suit you guys well in the next 2 to 20, 30, 40 years and beyond.
Agreed. And it's a long history of, we were, for this process, CASS was green before it was green.
Yeah.
And it was a health decision originally, for the safety of our guys and the community around us. When you have chlorine gas, the kill radius, depending on the size of the tank, could be 1 to 3 mile kill radius.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen some companies, I don't need to name them, but they had just a small tank of pressurized chlorine gas that ended up killing one of their employees because it, popped off the top. And I mean,
Just goes to show you how nasty of a chemical it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And two, then it turns into the environmental aspect. All of our byproduct, our dross and everything that comes from our furnace doesn't have any of the fluxes or the chlorine, so it doesn't go to the landfill. So we're bypassing the landfill with our byproduct from the furnace. So it really is a full cycle back into aluminum.
Which essentially just means you have to be a little more picky about what you put in your furnace, right?
Correct.
It's not, you can't just...
Absolutely.
That's what it really comes down to is you guys are, you're mixed and you just gotta be a little more picky about...
Master chefs. I mean, our aluminum manufacturing team, I mean, they do such a great job. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, just... They're a chef. They're taking this, they're taking that. We're using, more pure aluminum. We're using primary, and yes, it's a little more expensive, but in the turn and of the environment, the health aspect, it's worth it for us to have that expense.
Interesting. So give me let's go all the way back. The podcast is a scrap life, and so it's all about to me, I mean, it's people that I've met throughout the years in the scrap business. I mean, because that's where I grew up. That's what I know. I don't know a whole lot more than that.
Yeah.
How did you get into the scrap business? Where did you start? Give me the background, the history of you.
23 years ago, and the only way I can remember that is because my son's 23. When he was an infant, I started working at a very small mom and pop, North Richmond, California. Not one of the more desirable areas. Was more of a cans, plastic, and glass, and did non-ferrous.
So were you living down there, or what was the...
I commuted. My father was working close to there. My father's a welder by trade. Okay. He was working close to this facility and did some side work for him. And he worked for a hazardous disposal company, and he welded on their boxes. Okay. And he sold the boxes to the owner at the time, and the owner at the time said, "Hey, I'm looking for a young guy to come down and help me manage my business."
Yeah.
So, here I go, coming knocking. Hey, I was a tow truck driver at the time.
Okay.
I was already 4 years into driving a tow truck, AAA, doing that.
Did you like driving tow truck?
I loved it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
So we're part of the tow association over here, and so a lot of our customers are tow owners, tow operators, and those guys talk about the tow business like we talk about the scrap business.
Yeah.
Like they say, once it's in your blood, you'll always be.
Oh yeah.
They say it's so hard to get out of the tow business. Just like we say, once the scrap's in your blood, you're not getting out. You're in.
The last company I worked for, it was hilarious when I was leaving the owner, and I'm still friends with him to this day, and good family friends, and he says, "You'll be back in 6 months."
Just like we say to scrap guys.
Yeah, and sure as it went. I wanted more money, and so I was 6 months later driving the service truck, doing the lockouts, the flat tires, the jump starts. After I got off from working at the scrapyard, going over there nights and weekends to do it, but then it slowly went away. But yeah, so I went over and got the job in Richmond, and it was a great company, small, primarily focused on the cans, plastic, and glass. I mean,
all redemption stuff.
Redemption stuff, yeah. They call it CRV in California Redemption. But we did non-ferrous and did a fair amount of copper, a fair amount of aluminum, and when you're a smaller dealer, you sell your scrap to the larger dealers in the area, and of course, at that time, CASS, aka Custom Alloy, was where you sold your aluminum to. I mean, And then another, local guy is where you sold your copper to. So there was the Copper King and the Aluminum King. Charles Soprizio, the Aluminum King.
Yeah.
So, was doing that. And I thought, man, we're big time. We're shipping, 20, 30, 40,000, pounds a week over to here and to there.
Yeah.
And, after 10 years, of doing that 6 days a week, it just came time to expand, change. And man, going into the, I went to Chal and said, I'm going to be leaving, want to hire me? Yeah, come here on Monday. Pretty much started that Monday.
So that would be, if it was 23 years ago when you started and you were there for 10 years.
13 years ago.
13 years ago.
Yeah, this is my 14th year at CASS.
Okay.
And at that time, just before that, Edward Kangater, who is now our CEO, came on board CASS. He's got a year and a half ahead of me.
Okay.
With the company. And
when you started CASS, what'd you do? Like, what was your original?
Just a buyer.
Okay.
Yeah, buyer.
Just because you knew the area.
I knew the area.
Yeah.
Kind of. Realistically,
Material.
You going from basically public trade, people bringing it to you.
Mm-hmm.
At the last place I was, when I left, there was like 20 guys.
Yeah.
Managing the, I paid the customers, made the prices, I managed the deliveries. Roll-off boxes. It wasn't, so I had a good hey, I was working the shear,
Yeah.
the little wire stripper. My first 6 months I was in the warehouse, doing all of that, working all the machines.
And just my observation, and I could be partial because I'm from a small operation, but when you work at a smaller operation and you work the front desk and you're buying off the scale and you're buying the retail customers with 10 pounds of copper wire and 5 pounds of aluminum cans and 3 pounds of red brass, and I think that is a true education. It's about as full of an education as you're going to get in the scrap business.
Yeah.
Because you're working a scale, you're working the computer, you're working the purchasing software, you're dealing with customers, you're answering phones, your trucks are coming in, trucks are going out.
Yeah.
And I was just having this conversation with somebody earlier today, and I said, if you want to learn our business, the best place to start is at that scale.
At the scale.
And in a small business, not just at a scale. If you're a scale at, say, a large publicly traded company, and you just have 500 loads of car bodies a day.
Yeah. You're not.
That.
Yeah.
That's
just a way. That's just weighing it.
Yeah, you're teaching you how to weigh and pay and track. But if you really want to understand the nitty gritty about the scrap business, doing what you did for 10 years, working at the small business and having to do the payables, the receivables, buy, sell, truck,
pricing,
price.
Yeah.
It's all. You're getting just you truly are the Swiss Army knife. Of the scrap business, because you get a little bit of everything.
I agree. That's why I'm fortunate that I did go through that.
Yeah.
And customer relations. I learned from a guy, great, Lester Finkel, which was Lakeside in Oakland. He was the Copper King. And he says, listen, the guy that comes in with 5 pounds, you treat him the same that the guy that comes in with 5,000 pounds, 50,000 pounds of copper. Because you never know that one day he's going to come across 5,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And your price may not be the best, but since you treated him with respect and as a human being, he's going to come to you. And I just latched onto that. And I'm a people person.
Yeah.
I can bullshit with the rest of them.
Oh, yeah.
But I treat everybody the same with the mutual respect that I want to be treated.
Which is good business lesson for any industry, whether you're in the scrap business or whatever. But if you can do that,
you're right.
But if you can do that and you learn that early, and I tell this to people all the time, just because a guy rolls in with a shitty pickup, and a ton of iron in his truck, I said that guy, especially in our world over here where it's heavy ag and You just never know. Like, that guy could be a millionaire with 500 ton on his property, but he just needed to get that stuff to the scrapyard and clean out his pickup.
Oh, yeah.
But you never know. And here's the thing, you treat that guy just like you would the guy that brings in a semi-load of iron or a semi-load of copper wire. Those guys, you treat them all with mutual respect, and I promise you they'll pay dividends.
Yeah.
And
yeah. It's for me, like even now, there's peddlers that come into the yard at CASS that used to come in to the old place that I was at. I've known these guys 20 years. And they're like, hey, Billy, hey, I went from being Billy, there to Bill to, William. I mean, that's
what do you prefer?
And to me, my wife calls me Billy.
Mm-hmm.
My parents call me Billy. Friends, Bill, work, and it's William. You know, I mean, it's just, but.
Do you feel when you're getting older, they call you William, or when you're young?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, right. Like I was, my son, he's a junior, and he's Will. To his friends, he's Will, but to me, he's William. He's never been a Bill or a Billy, which is great by me, because then my wife can yell at me, instead of,
and he doesn't like, oh, is she?
Yeah.
She talking to me?
Exactly.
My dad?
Yeah. So, but yeah. And so going through all of that with, I still see these guys 20 years later, and a lot of these guys, they've put, I had one customer had 13 daughters.
Wow.
13 daughters, had 4 houses in a row in Richmond. And I'm like, how did, he goes, yeah, but like 13 daughters. We wanted a boy. But he put all of them through college. He's now got like 49 grandkids. Started getting the boys that he always wanted. But I mean, these guys are the guys that are cleaning up our streets.
Yeah.
Out in our area. I mean, they're going out and cleaning up the farms, cleaning up the streets, people's backyards, all of these things. And he made a living off of hauling scrap.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started, I'm like, whoa, people bring in these brass, candle holders and this brass and that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, I must have had 500 pounds of brass things that I would bring home. And my wife, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, you see the sticker on this thing?
Yeah.
It says $35. I said, I only paid $1.25 for it. She goes, yeah, but what are you going to do with it?
I'm like, I don't know yet. It's a good
I don't know yet, but, and then, then you end up taking it back. But I'm like, God, the things that you see that come through and, that's wasted. And, I mean, the United States we're definitely a wasteful country.
We definitely generate a lot of scrap, which for you and I in our industry that we're in, like, I'm not complaining. I'm in the scrap business, but when you travel, when you get outside the country and you look around, you're like, yeah, we definitely consume.
Yeah, we're a consuming nation. We definitely are.
So you go from
that. Start with chow start with chow, and I mean the education and the daily having chow there as a mentor to teach me aluminum. Yeah. And scrap business basically. I mean I went from just a mom and pop to and it's still a mom and pop, but in my eyes a full corporation. Yeah. And an actual well-oiled machine. And the knowledge that Chow has, and I have only learned this much from that man. I mean, he has made me what I am today. And the knowledge that I have. I mean, educated me on everything that I am today.
My thing is, I always, and I've said this in probably a bunch of podcasts I say it to people all the time, is I'm always on the hunt for smart people, right? Because I want to put myself around smart people and just hope that a tenth of it rubs off on me, right?
Right.
So it's like, for you to say that about Chow, obviously, like, A, you have a ton of respect for him, but B, I mean, he's taught you a lot. And I think that any time in life that you can put yourself around and smart people is one thing, but also just good people. Like, and that's what we try and do even with our business, and I'm sure you guys do with yours. Is you want to surround your business with people that care about your business.
Right.
They want you to be successful because if you're successful, they're successful.
Correct.
And then obviously people that are smart.
Yeah.
That you can hope that some of that. You're thick-skulled like me. You just hope that some of it like works its way through, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll pick up on that. Or
I couldn't be. I mean, right now the team that we have. I mean, it is a pleasure to go to work every day with all of these people. I mean, from the accounts receivable, accounts payable, to the weighmaster, to the truck driver, to the guy that drives the street sweeper.
Yeah.
I mean, he takes pride in cleaning up our streets on a day. I mean, just everybody there is. I mean, and looking back at it, we've got guys that have been there 35, 40 years.
Well, and the good thing about you, like what I appreciate and have always appreciated about you, is that you've done all the jobs.
Yeah.
Like the best people that you run into, that as far as like when I say best, is I'm more like referring to the people that are the most knowledgeable about the scrap business, the scrap trade, are the people that have got their hands dirty and they understand. They may not have been the best guy at cutting iron with the torch. They may have been the best guy, running a mobile shear or a
wire stripper,
but they've done all the jobs, so they
yeah.
kind of understand like the battle that guy's fighting every day,
Right.
And so they have it just gives you more respect for
Mutual
how
respect
hard
for 'em.
that job is. So you're kind of just like the guy out there sweeping the streets. You're like, man, that's not an easy job,
Right.
But he takes pride in it. He's good at it.
Hey,
okay.
We now have a street sweeper, but at first, that guy was out there with a broom and a shovel and sweeping the streets every day. And I'm telling you, you get that. We got that guy. I mean, Edward, our CEO. I love it. When we designed and said, let's get the guy a street, get him a cab.
Yeah, that's cool.
Get him a cab. Let's get him this and that. I mean, I've posted some, and you're active on social media, and I'm not as much, and I'm slowly working into it. Maybe it's my age, but one of my first posts was of that guy.
Yeah,
because he's just happy.
He's doing his thing,
doing his part.
Yeah,
and Marcelino, that guy is just always smiling, happy, rain or shine, doesn't matter, just doing his job, happy, and he enjoys it. And we have gotten our team to. Everybody enjoys their part.
Yeah.
And we all, with an open mind, look at, okay, how can we help him improve? How can we help him improve? What can I do to make it better for you? And everybody's having this open mind of a team.
Yeah.
And I didn't experience that in my past job.
Mm-hmm.
And, the leadership that our CEO has brought, he brought a different perspective of business.
Mm-hmm.
He's not new now, but he was new to the scrap business. He came from the, garment, clothing, fashion, and a more delicate business. But he looked at everything through our company environmentally. And, we're going to fix that. We're going to fix that. And he's created partnerships with some amazing equipment manufacturers, Sierra, Liebherr, all of these, and the distributors of them. And he looked at all of these things as, how can I get someone that's going to give me quality material, but also provide the service? And, and it's been really, really great working with that aspect as before.
Trying to find like a team approach.
Team approach
internally
and externally.
Yeah. With your your consumables, your consumers.
You're part of my team.
You're
part of my team.
I view it that way.
Yeah.
As well.
And yes, we're also friends.
Yeah.
We built a friendship behind it. I mean, it doesn't hurt that my parents live 45
That's
minutes
why we got
away.
you conned into coming out here.
Yeah,
Without that, then
I
we wouldn't have...
with my parents, living close, and when I fly in, how far are you from the airport?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know,
5 minutes from
it's
the airport.
worked well.
Yeah, it's been a good.
You know, and so now, you know, 13 years later, I'm the commercial purchasing manager. I've got some great people, and I don't even say underneath me,
Yeah.
because they're not underneath me. They're part of my team. You know, they don't work for me. I work for them.
Yep.
You know, we've got
Once you learn that, like once people learn that, in my book, once you learn that you work for all your guys,
yeah,
then you'll be successful. And
Yeah.
if you take that approach, and I've said that 100 times to all our guys, I'm like, you don't work for me, like I work for you. Like, what do you need? Let's go.
right,
Like, what do you need to do to be better at your job, or to raise the bar to the next level, or what do you need to, like, what obstacles do you need cleared? I always say I'm like the chief obstacle remover. Like,
Right.
give me like I'm just out here sweeping,
Right.
trying to give you runway to
Yeah,
go
and-
do your job.
Edward, same way. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, you know, it provides us with all the tools necessary for us to succeed and excel at what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a pleasure. It really has. I mean, I don't even look at it as work.
Is it tough living in California? How's that for?
You know what? You know, I mean,
Is California tough? I mean, I'm from Idaho.
hold on.
Yeah.
You know, it is COVID. It is COVID season right now.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, I live 22 miles from the office,
Uh-huh.
and it's inland. 22 miles, mind you. 14 miles to get off at the exit for me to drive into town. And pre-COVID, that would be an hour and a half to 2 hours to get home.
Wow.
30 to 45 minutes now. So,
Do you
know,
see that coming back? Like, do more people work from home, maybe not coming into
a lot
the
of people
city?
are working
Do
from
you
home.
think-
We're in the tech
Yeah.
capital of the world, basically, and a lot of these people are working from home, and you know, and that's great. If they can do their job from home, that's even better.
Better
I
for
mean,
you.
better for
from
my
a
commute.
standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, if that's
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But yes, living in California, it is tough.
okay.
It is.
I've
It's
always
expensive.
wondered that. You know, we've had
It's
that
expensive.
conversation. As far as
Environmental,
it's tough. Yeah.
you know, I mean, they're very tough. The regulators are tough. I mean, they're trying to beat up the companies like the recycling companies that are pushing the standards, stormwater permits.
Which is why you guys, I mean, as a company, are smart to try and get ahead of it. In my opinion, like, you guys are doing the right thing, and that's not cheap, and it takes time, and
It's not.
there's a lot that goes into that. So I mean, obviously, you know, from just my outside perspective looking in, like, you guys are doing the right thing, but I think sometimes from a regulation standpoint, or from you know, people that are out trying to force and cram, you know, all this stuff down your throat, like, you have to give a company time to implement
You do.
these things.
You do. And I'm very fortunate that I don't wear one of those hats
yeah,
on the environmental, you know,
that's
taking
a
care
tough,
of that.
That's a tough gig.
I mean, you know, Edward, you know, has built a team to deal with that. We have a person that's all they work with.
yeah,
You know, all of our regulations, permits, and stormwater, and you know, everything. And you know, I mean, it's an expense
oh, for sure.
to have someone
Yeah.
dedicated just for that.
Yeah.
But in the long run, we do hope that by getting ahead of the curve as much as we can, because the regulations change so much,
Oh yeah.
that it will benefit us. You
And I
know?
had that same conversation with Sacco. I was with John. I was like, you know, how hard is it? He's like, it's hard. You know, like, just fighting some of the battles we have to fight. And you know, and
Unbelievable.
And Sierra is one of those companies like CASS that goes above and beyond, and those guys are always trying to do the right thing and be ahead of the curve, not
Absolutely.
play from behind. Because to me, anytime you're able to play from ahead of the curve, you're in a better spot.
Sure.
It might cost you a little bit more money, but in the long run, you're better off.
Yeah.
And so, but he you know, I have had this conversation with him too, and he's like, yeah, there's no doubt, it's tough. You know?
They just put in a stormwater system.
Yeah.
How often does it rain in Bakersfield?
I know, and that's what we were going through the rain. He goes, let me show you how much rain we get in a year, And
Hundreds of thousands of dollars to put in this whole system, for that much. But he did it.
Oh, yeah.
He did it because he knew if he didn't do it, it would come back and backfire him in the end.
Come back on the back end. And plus, it's just trying to do the right thing and get ahead of it.
Right.
And I think that's the flip side of it.
And I think that's part of the reason, I know part of why we, choose who we partner with.
Yeah.
Like-minded, same core values. And, if, I can buy scrap from anybody.
Yeah.
You can buy scrap from me. You can sell to anybody.
Yeah.
But where's your product going to go? How is it going to be processed? Where is it going to end up? And, we're an American company. Our product stays in the United States.
Stays in America, made in America.
Made in America.
Everything. There's a lot of value to that in my book.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why we bought a wire chopping line was we were tired of exporting insulated wire, across the ocean and A, hoping you're going to get paid, B, hoping you're going to get paid the correct price, C, not knowing how it was even getting processed, it just getting burned, is it creating some environmental issue? And we're like, you know what? We have the capability, we have the technology, we have the space. Like, why don't we just do this here, in-house, keep it in America, sell it to American companies? And there is opportunities to sell scrap, export, and some of the items that we deal with are export items. We still are exporting scrap.
Absolutely.
But if you can find that balance where we have the technology available here to do this, to take this item and process it here, then let's do it. If we don't have the technology or we don't have the labor force, so it's not cost effective for these three items, those are export items.
Those are export items, yeah.
But
I think everybody is in that same boat, and yes, we export stuff. Everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
But as much as possible, we try to keep it within
what you can't process yourself. Which makes sense. And I think as well, and the scrap business doesn't get as much credit for the environmental impact that we basically provide.
It's a dirty business
worldwide, but we don't get the credit for having been recyclers for as long as we have.
Right.
Like, we've been thinking about the recycling and the industry for significantly longer than a lot of these new wave green companies.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so, we've been doing the right thing for a long time. Is it somewhat of a dirty process? You better believe it.
Absolutely.
But it's even a dirtier process to go out and try and mine the material raw.
Right.
That's an even more intense process.
Right.
So there is a catch-22.
There is.
But we've been doing it for a long goddamn time.
Long time.
Yeah.
Long time. Yeah. So hey, I'm at CASS just kind of, kicking butt and taking names, but enjoying it. Every day is a great day. Every day is different.
Yeah.
Which what I love about this business. No day is the same.
You deal with a bunch of different customers. You deal with a bunch of different,
vendors,
markets. The markets are crazy. What do you see? What do you guys see? I know if you had to rub the crystal ball of aluminum or any of the commodities you mostly deal in, what is your prediction for where the aluminum market is trending, going?
Auto manufacturers are going to aluminum.
Yep.
Rapidly. Can stock there's a huge need for aluminum cans.
Mm-hmm.
Getting away from, a lot of them are talking about getting away from the plastic bottles, the glass bottles, going over to cans. So I see the need within the United States wanting more aluminum. So we're hoping, that the market stays actually a little bit above where it's at.
79 cents on the LME plus the Midwest premium of what,
15, 20. I didn't check the market today, but
15 cents.
15 cents, which is inflated for what the purpose of the premium was supposed to be. A really great number of the two combined is $1. Your primary aluminum manufacturers like that dollar kind of trading level. Everybody's happy. Everybody can make money.
So at 79 and 15, you're 6 cents shy of where it really needs to be to kind of really for the sweet spot.
For the sweet spot. But what was copper closed at today? 302, 303?
Somewhere in that range.
And everybody's excited. I mean, that's like a really good number for copper.
$3 copper is
good copper. Everybody's selling everything that they've been holding on to for a long time.
Which is why that spread's opening up again.
It's
starting to stuff's starting to come out of the woodwork, and it's starting to, which is good. That's what needs to happen.
But demand for aluminum, I see increasing in the auto sector.
Okay.
Some of the local or United States die casters and all of that. There's a slow because of the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-COVID, everything was rocking and rolling, and everybody was just having a great time.
Yeah.
COVID has really hurt our economy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Especially on the scrap flow side, it slowed down the scrap flow for sure. I don't know. It depends on your region, I think.
True.
There's certain regions that it hasn't affected you that much. Certain regions that are off 30-40%.
Yeah.
And I think
I've heard 50.
Yeah, some of them are
from
50,
some guys.
I posted on LinkedIn. From a supply side, and that's the reason why we're going to get better ferrous prices. I think in September is because the supply doesn't exist. There's enough demand on the local steel mill side, and even they're not running at a full clip. But there's an export that's pushing the domestic guys to keep them honest, which is when it really gets good for the scrap business.
Yeah, agreed. We work regionally. The Schnitzer Steels, the Sims. SA Recyclings, all of those guys. Big guys of the world. But they've got to make money too.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a big mouth to feed, and so I understand. But, West Coast wise, there's not many steel mills.
Yeah.
So the majority of our steel is going export.
For sure.
What do we got? Seattle and
Cascade.
Yeah. But they are, the good thing with Cascade, they've stayed loyal to their suppliers.
Yeah.
And they've chosen who they want to supply to them because they know the quality of the material that they're getting.
Yeah.
And so, I don't, say I want to sell to you. They've got what they need and they've, done a great job of producing a quality product. And if they know the people that they're shipping to them that have, I don't want to take away from that.
What's pretty cool about the steel sector, though, is you're starting to see more steel mills pop up in the United States.
Many mills.
It feels like that curve's kind of coming back around. So, and I don't think California will be one of the states that they go to, but some of the states around California, you're starting to feel that momentum come back into the market of, well, now these mini mills that rely heavily on scrap consumption.
Yeah.
That's good for the
scrap
recyclers. That hey, now there's going to be more demand domestically for this material, which then it goes back to putting two guys back at the auction that wants your material,
right?
Not just one.
Not just one.
You're not so
it creates the competition.
Yeah, you're not so beholden to the export market.
Yeah, I think that California probably will not get another steel mill.
Yeah.
We just lost some of the larger manufacturers of, casting steel parts. The Pacific Steel in Berkeley shut down. They were producing parts for, I believe it was Caterpillar and, all that, but, just couldn't survive. It was in Berkeley, so it was a little tough for them to, environmentally survive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be tough there.
It's tough.
Yeah.
There used to years ago. There was a steel mill, and that's where I need the knowledge of Chow. But there was a steel mill in Oakland, Berkeley that produced steel, right there on the water.
Really?
believe it or not, and that's gone.
And it becomes like a real estate play too. Like I mean,
It does.
It's environmental for sure, but when you start talking about like you have a steel mill on the water, whether it's whether you're a port or you're just from a condominium or business park standpoint. I mean, what's more profitable at that facility, especially when you're in a tech hub of the world?
It's real estate.
At least it's the real estate is the big driver.
Real estate's the big driver.
Yeah.
I mean, could CASS, sell all their property in Oakland and, move out of state and make a buttload of money on the real estate? Absolutely. But we're rooted. I mean, 50 years in the business, 1969, at that same facility. I mean, it says a lot. And, the things that, kind of the added bonuses of the projects that we work with, Save Mount Diablo. Mount Diablo is a mountain in our area and surrounding them. There's a nonprofit organization trying to buy up everything around it to save the natural resources. The Crucible, which is a industrial arts for kids, where they go in, they learn how to weld, they learn how to do, sculpting, casting, steel. I mean, the trades that are lost, in the United States. So that, that even that stuff, just makes it even more fun.
That's one of my big hopes, like my big positive takeaways from COVID that I hope comes true is that there will be less of a push to send kids to college.
Right.
They're not college. It's not the best fit for them and their personality. Like, there's so many smart kids out there that could be
tradesmen,
welders, plumbers, machinists.
Oh yeah.
I feel like they've been kind of getting boxed into this whole college game, and with the COVID and all this craziness that's going on right now, that maybe some of these AA degrees, some of these trade degrees, could actually provide some fruit to these kids that and just basically set them on the path of you can make damn good money driving truck. You can make damn good money as a machinist. And
hey, you've got United Hauling.
Yeah.
How hard is it for you to find a truck driver?
It's very difficult. A good one. There's a lot of truck drivers out there. There's just not a lot of. There's not as many good ones.
Yeah.
And that's what you're all. There's a lot of guys that buy scrap out there. There's just not a lot of good ones. And I think it's like anything, but the only way you get good is to do it.
Yeah.
And the only way you teach somebody to become a machinist is to put them in a machine shop. And let them do it for 10 years. Become good at it.
Growing up, my father was in the Navy, 20 years in the Navy.
Okay.
His last station was Treasure Island.
Okay.
What a great place to grow up as a kid. I mean, you're on this secure little bubble of the island with the most beautiful view of San Francisco and Alcatraz and the Golden Gate Bridge, and you see all these things. But my brother went to a trade school, high school. It was high school. You had some in class, but he learned how to weld. Well, my dad's a welder pipe fitter by trade, so he was an HT in the Navy and did all that. But my brother went to a school where you learn how to weld, you learn how to be a plumber, pipe fit. You learned all these things, and after we had moved away to the suburbs, they closed the school down. I mean, they don't even have those schools anymore.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm not a college graduate. I didn't go to college. But I'm dealing with Fortune 500 companies, and it's not, I wouldn't say street smarts, but
there's a lot of common sense smarts though.
There's a lot of common sense smarts, as my friend Chal Solprizio would say, arithmetic.
Yeah.
And working with people, you don't absolutely need, my point is, you don't need a college degree.
No.
To make an honest living, enjoy what you're doing, and we need those people to help build bridges, build houses, HVAC.
But what you do need is hustle.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have any the old school fucking hustle, then to me Like, that's the problem. Like, and I don't care whether you're a college degree or an AA or you're a dropout, if you're an AA degree, it doesn't matter to me. If you don't have hustle, then you're not going to be successful in anything unless somebody dumps a bunch of, your parents dump a bunch of money on you before they die.
Yeah, true.
I mean, and really, then you just have a bunch of money. That doesn't mean you know what to do with it, how to live on it, how not to, all the other stuff that goes along with that. And that to me isn't successful. Like, somebody died, you got some money. That's not successful in my book.
No.
Successful is you busted your ass doing something you like to do, or something that was good enough for you that you half-ass enjoyed, and you made a good living, and you supported your family or yourself or whatever. I mean, that to me is the, and which is what I've, like, to go full circle, what I've always said about, like, the people in the scrap business. And it's not everybody, but for the most part, like, because it is an old school grinder industry, a lot of the people that are doing it, that are successful doing it, like yourself, are people that just had a ton of hustle.
Yeah.
Like, they started driving tow truck, and they went to work at a scrapyard, and then they were working at a scrapyard, and they drove tow truck at night.
Yeah.
Like, that's just hustle. Like, that's not you being way smarter than anybody.
Yeah.
It's just you saying, like, I'm willing to work harder than you.
True.
And then I'm willing to hustle makes breaks.
How many days a week do you work?
A lot. Yeah. More than my wife would like me to.
Your wife is, she wants to be with you because she loves you, and she wants you to be there with the kids and everything. But
probably, I'm just
7 days.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. Every day you're always thinking about it. You have to carve out the time for your family.
You do.
But even when you're with your family, I'm still thinking about what's going on back at work. So it's.
Hey, even in the shower, you got your shower thoughts about work.
It's a passion.
It is. It is.
And work is my hobby.
Yeah.
It is, like, what I enjoy, and I'm lucky enough to do something every day that I enjoy.
Right.
So, like, that's a good.
And you've surrounded yourself with people that you enjoy.
Oh yeah,
working
all
with.
my friends.
Yeah.
I mean, my friends are all the people that are here. So
friends, family.
Yep.
Watching the podcast of. We've talked about, your history, but, it was really, really, really cool watching your first Scrap Life podcast with your mom and dad.
Yeah.
I learned so much. And it's just you guys talking.
Yeah.
But just to see the history, well-rooted here in Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
And to, from starting their joint venture, buying out the joint venture. And, how many yards do you have now?
7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Started with 1.
Yep. And it's a product of just, like, old school hustle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, like, one of my favorite things.
Success story.
Yeah,
your family.
Exactly.
It's not just you.
No, 100%.
No.
I understood where you're going with it. And that's just, like, the team atmosphere. Like, I'm successful because I got a bunch of smart people that we've hired over the years. So they make me look better than I probably am. And,
well, you're selling yourself short too.
But like, we all combine our knowledge, and we all combine our effort. And I'll never ask you to do something I'm not willing to do.
Yeah.
If I ask you to do it, either I've done it.
Well, you worked the scale.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for a lot of years.
You worked your chopping line. You've worked the forklift.
Yep.
You've done it all.
Well,
you got your commercial driver's license?
No, I do not.
What?
I know. That's the hidden secret about me.
No way.
I know, but for me, it's I have driven truck, but I haven't.
Well, your kids have driven the trucks too.
My kids, I'm getting them where they can at least drive a golf cart and a forklift.
The video that you got on.
I know.
Yeah. Stealing the truck.
I know. Yeah, we had some.
But you know what?
Photoshopping,
Brett. Brett. Honestly, we're friends, but you're also a family man, and you treat your team as their family.
100%.
And that's what CASS has done
for you,
for me, and it started with Chal. And now it's with Edward. And, and Chal's still there 6 days a week, 7. Yeah. He could be there 7, he would. The guy's just, he's lost fingers. He's lost, his eye. He's given his life to this business.
Is because his hobby is
His hobby is
his work,
is
right?
his work,
Like,
yeah.
and it's
And it's the same with Edward.
Uh-huh.
I mean, and so I see the drive in them,
yeah,
which makes the drive in me want to be that much more. Not to prove to them anything,
yeah,
because it's exciting to see what they're doing to make me want to do just as much.
oh yeah,
It's awesome, man. And listen, I've got full benefits, 401k. I mean, all of those added things.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't have that at the tow company.
Yeah,
I mean, and I'm not saying anything negative about the tow company, but I mean, there's guys that are with our company that when they retire, they're going to be set.
yeah.
I mean, the money that they have and they're set for life. I mean,
But here's the deal, like, the reason that they are is because they stayed with one company.
Yeah,
They
true.
worked their ass off.
Yeah.
They did everything that they could
Possible.
and more.
Yeah.
And they built a career.
Yeah.
And that's the other hidden, like, sometimes missing piece of the puzzle. If you jump around, you skip around, and you're trying to find this, you're I mean, and to me, there's nothing wrong when you're young trying to figure out what your real passion is. But
Yeah.
once you find something that you enjoy, and you find the company that's willing to take care of you, and you can build a career,
Yeah.
and then you decide that that's the route you want to go, like you made that deal. Like the company just held up their end of the bargain.
Yeah.
But
True.
the reality of it is, like, you did your job. Like, you paid your dues. You worked the job.
Yeah.
You showed up. Like, you
Yeah.
did. Like, you made your retirement. They
Yeah.
they provided you the vehicle, like what you're
Yeah.
saying.
You're right. You're right.
But they stuck to it, and they
Yeah.
just grinded it out and built something that,
Yeah.
maybe somebody told them one day, like, you're not ever gonna amount to shit. But here we are.
Hey,
and
man,
we
we've
figured it out.
Yeah.
and,
Our
you
guys, they know that they aren't shit.
Yeah. And that comes from, like, top down.
Top
like,
down.
You create the right atmosphere.
Well, we appreciate
And-
everybody there. I mean, to the guy that's sweeping, to the guy that's cleaning, to the guy that's doing. We're all the same.
Yeah.
I'm no better than them. They're no better than me. We're all equal. I mean, different titles. I mean, and we try not to have titles.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm only using CEO.
Mhm.
Talking to you, to me, it's Edward.
Yeah.
And I don't really look at him as my boss, because he's not bossing me around.
Yeah.
He's not. He's
He
our
just
leader.
gives you the runway and says, "Go do your job."
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
Which is that's what should.
When you make a mistake,
Yeah.
understand the mistake, look at why you made the mistake, and try not to replicate that mistake, but learn from your mistake.
For sure.
And when everybody makes mistakes, Brad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you
made a
do
lot
too.
of them. Yeah. One
But-
day, sometimes, yeah.
But he's not beating us up because we made a mistake.
Yeah.
We use it as a learning, experience of why did we do this? How can we fix it?
So do you think you'll forever? I mean, is the scrap industry, like the industry as a whole, like you're not doing anything different?
It's too fun, man.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, no day is the same.
No.
It's pretty exciting. I mean, winter, summer, spring. I mean,
It's just a different.
it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Each day is its own challenge. I mean, it's.
What do you enjoy the most about the industry? Like, what do you enjoy the most about, like, your job?
For me, the people that I work with, not just at the physical plant,
Yeah.
but customers, suppliers. I hate to use that word, to be honest. And to be trading partner, and
Yeah, but
it's just people that I do business with, the friendships that I'm able to do. I mean, we joked about earlier, I had told Brad from Detroit Scrap that I was coming.
Yeah.
Tell him you want a PBR and a can. I mean, and immediately
Yeah.
you knew that was him.
I knew exactly who it was.
Yeah, I mean, the people that I've...
And when I get his ass here, I'm gonna have PBR in
Well,
a can.
yeah,
I'm gonna make him
he
back
said
here.
that, you've been trying to get him down here. And
I'm gonna get him, man.
I said, hey, I said I couldn't tell him no because he knew I was going to see my parents and I come into town. I said, just don't ask me hard questions.
Yeah, and hopefully he hasn't been too
I'm
difficult.
not the smartest tool in the shed.
Hopefully I haven't got.
No,
haven't.
It's just a couple friends having a beer and talking about where they
exactly,
came from, which has been great.
Well, we talk about like the scrap industry, which is like segue like into what the podcast is. Like when Sacco talked me into doing a podcast with him on the pile of scrap, I was super like reluctant to do it. I did it, and I really enjoyed just sitting down and talking about, because I've done podcasts about the pipe industry, and because we have a separate company, Treasure Pipe, and I'm fairly knowledgeable about the pipe, but I feel like I'm more knowledgeable about the scrap industry, and my passion really is doing the scrap, like trading the commodities and
heck
and buying
you've been
and selling.
stripping wire in the garage since you've been 5 years old.
That's the jam, right? Like that's what I love. And so when I'm like, I'm gonna do a podcast just to talk to people about that love the scrap industry. I don't care whether you're the CEO, and I don't care whether you're the guy on the forklift. Like if it's changed your life and it's been like good for you and you've been able to build a career, like that's what I want. That's what
changed my life, man.
Yeah, that's what I like. To me, when I talk about the scrap industry, I want to talk to people that live it and breathe it, and like every day.
Yeah. And, I was excited that I got to finally let you introduce you to my son. I mean, to me, that was like,
I know. We're gonna eat some dinner tonight.
Yeah. I
got my wife.
Which is great.
Yeah.
To be the first time meeting her.
Yeah.
And but for me, like my son, couldn't be more proud. I don't want to get choked up or anything, but just for you to meet him and just to see, it's like I work at a coffee shop, and just to kind of explain what he did, but he didn't go the big university route in the very beginning. He did 3 years community college, and when he did that, he worked 2 and 3 jobs, not because he had to, he chose to. He would go and be a lifeguard in Rossmore at the senior community in the morning. Then he'd go and work at the clothing store in the afternoon, and then at night he'd work here. And I'm like, hey, he's hustling. He
So my question for you, like, okay, this might be the hardest question I'm gonna give you all day.
All right.
Do you think hustle is like DNA, or do you think hustle is like taught? Because obviously you had hustle.
Yeah.
Did you teach him hustle, or did he just? Is it?
Maybe he's mimicking what he saw. Your dad was hustling.
Yeah.
Right?
So, isn't that, one of the best character traits? Like, if you can give your kid anything, daughter, son, whatever. Like, if you can give them, when I talk about, you teach your kid how to play basketball or football or whatever, if I can teach my kid anything.
The grind. Yeah.
I just want to teach them how to hustle. Both of them. Both my boys. We talk about this all the time on their basketball. I said, be the guy that gets the rebounds, dives on loose balls, and plays good defense, and eventually the scoring will come.
That's Rodman.
The hustle,
Look at Rodman.
That's what I'm saying. And he has his favorite player, right? And I said, he goes, I love Rodman. I said, that's your guy. I go, that guy was not a traditional basketball player, but he had more hustle than most. Right. He's going to be he'll be in the Hall of Fame on hustle.
Yeah.
And so, when I talk about, you talk about your son, I could feel how proud you are of him. I always wonder, is it a DNA in the hustle, or did they just learn?
It's got to be. My dad, God, he's in his 70s.
Still grinding in the farm,
Still grinding on the farm. He's got, he lives out in the country. He's got 20 acres, growing alfalfa. Doesn't have to. He did.
Yeah.
He bought some property and renting this, and now he's talking about RV park. I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? I got to keep busy. I go, just enjoy your retirement. I go, you don't need the money. Just relax.
It ain't about the money.
It's not.
I tell my wife and my people all the time, it ain't about the money for me.
No.
I'm good. I've done okay. I've made some decent decisions in my life. And I said, I think when I'm 70, I'll still be doing as long as my sons haven't kicked me out, or You know, like I'll be as long as they let me they give
Keep
me
going?
some. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna go, man, because
Right.
I love it. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, the really cool thing, too, is seeing my son and going through the process of everything. I learn from him.
Yeah.
On a daily basis.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, because he's more compassionate than I am. And just his perspective on life and things, I'm learning every day. And, because of the COVID, he moved back home and he's working locally and he's living with us. But God, it's just kind of cool having him there.
Yeah, man.
I don't think my wife really wants him to go either.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to let him go and enjoy his thing, but
it's like a selfish thing. You're like, I kind of want you to stay. Like you're like my buddy. I want to hang out.
No, he's just it's. And then I have my daughter, at home, 15, and this COVID really hasn't affected her because we talked. Your wife's a teacher. My daughter's homeschooled and has been since 3rd grade. So
and she sounds smart as all get out too.
She's laughing at my son. He's like, God, this online learning thing is just driving me. She's like,
yeah,
I've been doing it.
I've been doing it for a while. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And
if you need tips, call me.
He's asking her, what do I do with it? And it's just really cool to see. So, it just kind of come full circle with my son kind of being my friend now too.
Yeah. When you get that as they get a little bit older, that's when my dad and I's relationship changed. I was old enough to like reflect on all the stuff he's been trying to tell me for the last X amount of years, and I'm like, you were definitely right more often than you were wrong. Like maybe some stuff I may not agree with all the way, but you're definitely right more than
Are you
wrong.
becoming your dad now?
I have some characteristics for sure. But
everything you said you didn't want to do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, my man. Well, I appreciate you coming and sitting down. I mean, I owe you.
No.
I'll come out your way.
Anytime.
I'm glad you were sit down drinking Idaho beer with me.
Yeah, Idaho beer.
And
no, thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Good to see you.
Cheers. Take care.